Hey everyone. So previously on an episode of This Old Deck, I had been talking about a library depletion deck. And that was an example of a sort of more active library depletion deck, you know, the sort that uses Altar of Dementia or Grindstone or Millstone, you know, those sort of cards, to directly move cards between the opponent's library and the graveyard. Obviously they have permission elements in them to slow an opponent down, but there's an active library depletion element there. Now there is another category of library depletion decks, and this is what I'm going to look at, one of these today, and first dubbed, I believe, Death by Boredom by some players. So it's a really heavy permission deck, and I'm going to read out what's on page 16 of the Deconstruction Companion. And as you can see, the name of the deck is called Equality, and it was a deck that was play tested for a while in a sort of post Urza Saga environment. So Urza Saga had just come out. And it says here in the update section, and bear in mind they're talking about around 1998, this is. So just as Urza Saga's coming in. Decks in this category try to take control of the game and lock the opponent down to the point that further play becomes next to impossible. Having achieved this position, the control player simply waits for the remaining 30 or 40 turns, countering anything the opponent managed to play until the opponent's library runs dry. Gao's Blessing doesn't help the opponent in this situation since you're not actually milling anything. So most library depletion decks in 1998 fell into this category. This strategy often leads to a 1-0-0 match result, since one duel may take the better part of an hour to finish. This can backfire if the opponent wins the first duel, though, and it also doesn't allow much time for eating and resting between rounds. Yeah, so it then goes on to say, now some deck builders bow to the pressure of reality and sully the pristine purity of the straight library depletion deck by adding a few creatures or a bit of direct damage for a way to bring the game to a quicker close. At that point, the line between library depletion decks and permission decks fuzzes out completely. Yeah, so I thought it'd be fun to look at this. I don't think it's a sort of deck you come across much in Magic now, Death by Boredom. But just to show you the sort of shenanigans that the deck gets into to basically try and stop you decking yourself. Okay, so here we go. We have in the deck 4 Mox Diamonds, 0 to cast. When it comes into play, choose and discard a land card or sacrifice it. Tap, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. So we got a mana source. This is the interesting card. So Feldon's Cane, 1 to cast. There's only 1 copy of it. Tap, remove it from the game, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So this is the card that at a strategic point in the game stops you decking yourself, because you know you're grinding the game out. Just as you know, you both draw cards. Eventually one of you is going to draw on an empty deck and lose the game that way. So to prevent you from doing that, we have a Feldon's Cane. That takes the contents of your graveyard, puts it into your library. 3 Winter Orbs, 2 to cast. Players cannot untap more than 1 land during their untap phases. So the deck has to have ways in which to control the game, so things don't get out of control, and you're just slowly letting the process of drawing cards do what you need to do. And so we have cards like Winter's Orb, which stop well, it's basically players cannot untap more than one land, so it affects across the board, but what's happening here is, you want to be able to stop your opponent from basically doing anything that could do you damage and, kill you by other methods apart from, you just running out of cards. We got 3 Worn Power Stones, 3 to cast, comes into play tapped. Tap, add 2 colourless mana to your mana pool, play this ability as a mana source. So you can see this gets round, having these get round, not, only being able to untap more than one land during untap phase. And then we've got Mishra's Helix, 5 to cast, X, tap X lands. So you can tap down lands with this. Enchantment wise, we have 2 enchantments in the decks, 3 copies of one, 4 copies of the other. So 3 Oath of Lieges, 1 and a white. During each player's upkeep, if that player controls fewer lands than target opponent, the player may search his or her library for a basic land card and put that land into play. The player shuffles his or her library afterwards. And then we've got 4 propagandas. 2 in blue, each turn, each creature cannot attack you unless its controller pays an additional 2 for that creature. So if you can some way control or starve your opponent or generating mana, hopefully they're not going to have enough mana to pay the additional cost to allow their creatures to attack. We've got 2 power sinks, X and a blue, counter target spell unless its caster plays an additional X. If he or she does not tap all mana producing lands that player controls and remove all mana from his or her mana pool. If he or she does not tap all, okay. 3 disenchants, 1 and a white, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So that's main boarding, artifact and enchantment destruction. 4 mana leaks, 1 and a blue, counter target spell unless its caster plays an additional 3. So if we look down so far, we can sort of see already, this is from Urza Saga, this is from Urza Saga, this is. Then down here, we've got 4 Adakar Wastes, tap, add 1 colourless to your mana pool, tap, add white or blue to your mana pool, Adakar Waste deals 1 damage to you. City of Traitors, 4 of these. If you play a land, sacrifice City of Traitors, tap, add 2 colourless mana to your mana pool. 3 islands, 9 plains, so 20 lands in total. So we're pretty thin on lands. We don't have the usual 24 that sometimes you expect. Sorcery wise, we've got 2 Pegasus Stampedes, 1 and a white, has buyback, sacrifice a land. So if you do that, you can put the card back in your hand instead of the graveyard. And the spell puts a Pegasus token into play. Treat this token as a 1/1 white creature with flying. 4 Armageddons, which will blow up all the lands. 1 Cataclysm for 2 and 2 white. Or the Armageddon's 3 and a white. Cataclysm 2 and 2 white. Single copy. Each player chooses from the permanents he or she controls an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a land, and sacrifices the rest. And then 3 Wrath of Gods. Blows up all the creatures. There we have it. That's what the curve looks like. And as you probably guessed, it is a white-blue deck, but it does produce all colours of mana because of the mana generators in here. What else can you notice about that? Well, you'll notice that all of the cards, where they do have a colour casting cost, have just a sorry, I say all of the cards. Quite a number of the cards. I misspoke there. So I got this one. Have just a single colour of mana, except these, which have 2. So it works quite nice. We're having a combination of not many land, but some artifacts that generate colourless mana. So. And yeah, literally, it's a permission to. So basically you're trying to stop your opponent from damaging you, playing their stuff. Just dealing with threats in the deck. And slowly they're drawing their deck, you're drawing your deck. At some point, to prevent yourself decking yourself, you need to play a Feldon's Cane. And then that replenishes your library. And then again, you just keep grinding away. So we've got a number of cards here which control, the amount of land that can be tapped, the amount of mana that can, what can attack, the balance of the lands, counter spells, and so on. I'm not going to feature these decks very often, but I just wanted to do it as a sort of counterpoint to library depletion decks that actually have some sort of active milling effect on them. And I thought it was amusing. It also, part of the other reason for doing these is you stumble across cards that could be really useful in other scenarios. So, you could see interesting including a Feldon's Cane in a deck to stop someone milling you. There we go, Feldon's Cane. 5th edition, originally from Antiquities. Anagram, it's restock. So affects the return cards from the graveyard to the library. Namesake spell, and then you've got Cranial Archive. 2 to cast, exile Cranial Archive, target player shuffles their graveyard into the library, and you also get to draw a card. So this is being exiled as well, so unless you've got it some way of getting it back from exile, once you play that, it's gone, if you have a single copy. So what might that be synergizing within Cube Cobra? Let's have a look. Have we got any ideas here for stuff? So you can see we've got some permission stuff here. Some control elements. And if we have a look here, $6,292 decks. So this card intrigued me from Urza Saga. It ended up in the World Championship decks and it only turns up on the list, so never been reprinted elsewhere. Can't remember if I have a copy of this or not, actually, I don't think so. You can target already tapped lands, if you want to. Mana Sink, tap a land, storyline card. Similar to Floodwater Dam, which is XX1, tap, X, target lands. That's only 3 to cast. That was in Alliances, if you're curious. So often drafted with these. You got things like Voltaic Key, Grim Monolith, Solemn. And then if you have a look, synergistic cards. Oh, wow. Okay. Some interesting stuff here. There's Void and Static Orb. Yeah, you can see some more lockdown here. Oh, I will do it there. 433. I don't expect many of these to be super popular in EDH. Also, I'm deliberately not including the obvious things. With this series now, I tend to just pick cards that maybe we haven't spoken about that much before. I know Winter Orb has come up before, but yeah, I do like the also the artwork here as well for the Eternal Masters version. Oh, some rules and information. Deprecated untyped artifact. Stasis cards. So yeah, there's a whole load. Well, a whole load. 13. It's not really a load, is it? But there's a few cards, should I say, that sort of fall into this category of stasis. If you want to sort of play around with that sort of stuff. Static Orb. Static Orb is untapped. Players can't attack more than 2 permanents during their untap phase. And then referenced by Winter Moon. Nice. Okay, 34,000 X. And looking at the Cube Cobra, what do we have? Oh, there's Armageddon. Oh, some power. Lots of power actually. Oh, Tangle War, yeah. Oh, not these. These are good. Oh, there's Mind Slayer, Slaver. That was in another episode, I think. Came up. Oh, there's Braids. Oh, and Phyrexian Metamorph. It's a favourite of mine. Yeah. Oath of Lieges. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player chooses target player who controls more lands than they do and is their opponent. The first player may search their library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Catch up. So there, this, if you sort of recognise the name template, yeah, Oath of Druids, Oath of Gauls, Oath of Lieges, Oath of Mages, Oath of Scholars. So that was if we do his first printing, you'll see part of a cycle. And at some point, no doubt, we will be talking about Oath of Druids decks in the series. What did I just do there? Yeah. Why did I put his first? Oh yeah, so it would come up. So I just wanted to prove that they were all in that, and it was some sort of, so it wasn't some sort of mega cycle. If you're not familiar with Exodus. Due to land to battlefield. Yeah, so this catch-up business. Players who have less get more. Number of cards that'll do that. Oh, there's Isolated Watchtower. That's nice. You know what? That's what I should do. I've never thought of doing that for the 15 cards episodes. Is I should go through the artwork in Commander decks. I know I've been through the decks in Decks Revisited, but maybe I should focus in on the cards in Commander that were printed for the first time. That might be an interesting episode for sets. Yeah, I'll think about that one. Yeah, various other cards that are Oath of something as well. You'll notice there. I was taking a look at that in prep for this. I always do a little tiny bit of prep, not a lot, but a little tiny bit. 4,589 decks. Cube Cobra. What's that? Rainbow Veil. Oh yeah. Spear of Heliod. Basilisk Collar. This is another one that I just... cards that... I don't know, I have certain memories of it. It must have been watching tournament play on YouTube where certain cards would come up, and Basilisk Collar was one of them. It's Dune Blast. Oh, of course, Pariah, yeah. Feldergriff. Teneb. Yeah, some cool stuff here. So propaganda. Each turn, each creature cannot attack unless its controller pays an additional 2 for that creature. So yeah, falls into the prison category, of which there are 26 that have tags on Scryfall. Yeah, that might be, you know, that's probably the artwork that I recognise more. Because it has been reprinted a few times. Tax Attack, what's that? 39. Which tax and attack? That's clever. Okay, I'll count by wisdom, yeah. Ghostly Prism. Light Minefield. From... what's that? Oh, is it the Eldrazi, I think? Yeah. Oh, this is nice. Wow. That's pretty cool as well. But I like this. It's pretty interesting as well. Yeah. Colour shifted. Ghostly Prism. Similar to Collective Restraint and Koskan Falls. Wow, from Homeland. Is that Homelands or Fallen Empires? I'm trying to think. I think that's Homelands. Do you upkeep tap target creature you control? No creature can attack you. Can attack unless its controller pays an additional. Okay, so there's an additional cost there. Enchant World. Interesting. Yeah, Commander. Was that where I first saw it in that form? Must have been. Yeah, probably Commander 2013 then. Oh, yeah. It's in a lot of decks on EDH Rec. So, let's see. Oh yeah, the usual suspects. Yeah, lots of blue control here, and some burn. What do we got here for synergies? My favourite, Steel Hellguy. Oh, that's a cool space. Interesting. I get old Journey to Nowhere. I do like owls. Owls of Magic. Could be another artwork episode. We'd have to, because everything's now what would be birds anyway, so I'd have to do some sort of owl search on. I never thought of doing that. I could do an artwork search, a Scryfall Shenanigans, couldn't I, for owls? Yeah, let me think about that. Pegasus Stampede. This is really interesting. Oh, sack outlet for lands. There we go. Oh, why do you need lands, in this deck? As long as you got a few. As long as you got like, well, enough to play your double white or your double blue spells. Demonym. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be played an awful lot in EDH. Is there a Pegasus Legend? I might see some interesting stuff in here, so okay. Interesting group of white cards. We've got land tax as well. There's Cataclysm, which we'll talk about at the end. Synergistic cards. Soul Warden again. Voice of All. I remember that being in one of the decks for the that Magic program, Magic the Gathering playing program before. Oh, what's it called now? Jewels of the Planeswalker was in one of the decks for that. That's why I sort of tend to remember it from. Cataclysm. Each player chooses from among the permanents they control an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a land, then sacrifices the rest. It was in this from the vault. Okay, some rules there. If you control a permanent with more than one type, you can choose that same permanent for more than one of the choices if you want to. This makes it possible to select an artifact creature as both your artifact and creature, and then select the land and thereby keep only 2 cards. Okay. What have they got? So yeah, counts as a what? And so it's a sacrifice effect, isn't it? Sweeper. Artifact enchantment. Permanent. Creature enchantment in the land. Okay. But it doesn't affect planeswalkers. That's why I was just hesitating now, just thinking, I'm letting my brain catch up with my mouth. Oh, yeah, similar to the last card in terms of what's coming up. Oh, there we go. White, red, blue. Go scroll. Oh yeah, lots of pleasant lockdown spells. Players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. And in terms of what decks it turns up in on EDH Rec, not many. Oh yeah, okay, so these sort of commanders then. I mean, yeah, make a pretty miserable deck to go up against. I was just thinking, like, imagine trying to build a a pure library depletion deck in Commander, like with no, you know, along the same lines as this, where there's like no way to there's no way to speed up the milling. Oh, that would be painful. That game could go on for days. Wow. I don't even want to, I shouldn't have put that out there, should I? Oh, that's dreadful. Anyway, on that positive note, thanks once again for watching. Bye for now. And I will catch you in a future episode.